I lived alone in Block C-17, a government-subsidized housing tower reserved for non-essential civilians. That label meant I wasn't wealthy, powerful, or genetically optimized, but I wasn't disposable either. Just average. My neighbors moved in 3 months earlier. They arrived at night. No moving vans. No announcements. One moment, the unit across the corridor was dark and abandoned, and the next, it glowed softly with warm amber lights. The nameplate changed from vacant to residence. House of EL. House. Not family. That alone was strange. They were pale, unnaturally so. Tall. Elegant. Dressed in dark fabrics that shimmered faintly like woven circuitry. Their eyes reflected light in a way that cameras often do, catching glints even in low illumination. They never aged. Never changed. Never seemed to sleep. I worked remote systems maintenance for the city grid, mostly night shifts. That meant I was awake when most weren't, and I noticed patterns others missed. Every night, someone from House Vale stood watch. Sometimes on their balcony. Sometimes in the hallway. Sometimes on the roof, silhouetted against the glow of the city, like statues carved from shadow. And every time something bad happened nearby, an assault, a break-in, a drone malfunction, it stopped before it reached my door. At first, I thought it was coincidence. Then came the night someone tried to kill me. The attempt. I was returning home just past midnight when the lights in the corridor flickered out. Emergency crimson washed the hall in warning tones, and my implant chimed softly in my skull. Grid failure. Stand by. That was unusual. The grid almost never failed in residential zones. I reached my door when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow. Heavy. Unmasked. I turned and froze. The man wore no corporate insignia, no citizen ID tag. His eyes glowed faintly red, not from enhancement, but from raw aggression. In his hand was a blade humming with kinetic energy. Wrong apartment, he said softly. Nothing personal. He lunged. I didn't scream. I didn't have time. Something moved. A blur of black and silver slammed into the attacker, lifting him off his feet and smashing him into the wall hard enough to crack reinforced plascrete. The blade clattered uselessly to the floor. Before I could process what I was seeing, 3 figures surrounded the man. My neighbors. Their faces were calm, focused, ancient. One of them sank elongated fangs into the attacker's neck. There was no blood spray, no mess, just a sharp inhale, and then the man went limp, eyes glassy, body drained like a power cell pulled from machine. They turned to me. "You are unharmed," the tallest one said. His voice was smooth, resonant, layered, as if multiple frequencies spoke at once. I backed into my door. What are you?" He smiled. "Your neighbors." Middle. The truth beneath the city. They invited me inside their apartment. I should have run. Should have screamed. Should have reported everything. But fear had given way to something else. Curiosity. Inside, their home didn't look like a den of monsters. It was beautiful. Soft lighting. Ancient stone walls etched with glowing runes interwoven with advanced holographic displays. Old and new layered together seamlessly. The tall one introduced himself as Lord Kalen Vale. "We are vampires," he said plainly, "but not as your myths describe." He explained everything. They were not undead, not cursed, not demons. They were post-human sentinels, genetically engineered centuries ago during the Collapse Wars. Humanity, facing extinction from off-world predators and internal decay, created them as guardians, beings enhanced beyond human limits. Immortal, powerful, bound by oath. They fed not on blood alone, but on bioelectric resonance, which blood carried in high concentration. Criminals, Murderers, predators, those whose neural signatures were corrupted, were their preferred sustenance. They hid among humans, protecting key individuals. And I'm key? I asked. Kayla nodded. Yes. They showed me files, classified archives buried beneath the grid, records of my birth, my parents, my genetics. I wasn't average. Unbeknownst to me, I carried a rare neural pattern, a prime resonance, capable of interfacing with ancient alien technology scattered throughout the solar system. Technology that could reshape civilizations. The corporations knew. The government knew. And someone had finally decided it was time to harvest me. You are under our protection, Kaylin said. Day and night. From that moment on, my life changed. Guarded by monsters. I began noticing things I'd once dismissed. Strangers who lingered too long near my building vanished overnight. Drones malfunctioned when they scanned my windows. Once, during a citywide blackout, I saw silhouettes moving across rooftops, my neighbors, deflecting intruders before they ever reached the tower. They didn't hover. They didn't smother me. They watched. Always. Kaylin explained that their order had dwindled. Most vampire houses had been destroyed or absorbed by corporate forces. House Vale was one of the last. And you? I asked. What happens to me? Kaylin met my gaze. That depends on what you choose to become. The corporations escalated. Synthetic soldiers. Psychic trackers. Reality warping drones. Each time, House Vale responded with terrifying precision. I watched from my window one night as Kaylin leapt 3 stories vertically, tearing a mech apart with bare hands before dissolving into shadow. Another time, Lady Saris walked through a hail of plasma fire untouched, her eyes glowing like twin stars. They weren't just protecting me. They were waging a quiet war. The siege. The final attack came without warning. The sky split open. Orbital platforms repositioned, casting massive shadows over Norhaven. The grid shut down entirely. No lights. No implants. No escape. A corporate broadcast echoed across the city. Citizen designated prime, asset detected. Surrender for immediate processing. My door exploded inward. Kaylin stood in the frame, blood streaking his coat. It is time, he said. They moved me through hidden passages beneath the city, tunnels older than Norhaven itself. Ancient vampire sanctuaries layered beneath forgotten human infrastructure. But the enemy followed. In the central chamber, a cathedral of stone and circuitry, I was cornered. Corporate elites. Augmented enforcers. A CEO clad in golden armor stepped forward. You are property, she said to me. You always were. Kaylin stepped between us. No, he said softly. He is protected. The battle that followed was not a fight. It was a reckoning. Vampires moved faster than thought, tearing through steel and flesh alike. Energy weapons fizzled against ancient wards. Blood and light filled the chamber. But they were outnumbered. One by one, members of House Vale fell, disintegrating into ash and light, their oaths fulfilled. Kaylin was wounded, pierced through the chest, pinned to the altar. The CEO turned to me. Come willingly. Something inside me awoke. The prime resonance ignited. I reached out, and the alien machinery buried beneath the city responded. Reality bent. The corporate forces were erased, unmade at a quantum level. Silence fell. Kaylin collapsed. Ending. The guardians remain. I held him as the chamber crumbled. I failed, he whispered. You didn't, I said. You saved me. He smiled faintly. Then our purpose endures. Kaylin dissolved into ash in my hands. House Vale was gone. But their legacy wasn't. The alien systems recognized me as a custodian, granting me access to defenses older than human civilization. I rebuilt Norhaven, not as a corporate prison, but as a sanctuary. Years passed. The city changed. And sometimes at night, when the neon lights hum and the sky glows faintly red, I see figures on rooftops. Watching. Guarding. New vampires. Bound not by corporations, but by choice. I live openly now. No longer afraid. Because even when I sleep, I know the truth. My neighbors are vampires. And they guard me. For a long time after the battle, the city was quiet. Not peaceful. Quiet in the way a battlefield is quiet after the last shot is fired. Norhaven still breathed, still glowed, still groaned under the weight of its towers and rails, but something fundamental had changed. The corporate signals never came back online. The grid rebooted itself, rewritten by the alien architecture now bound to my mind. I stood on the balcony of my apartment, the same one where I had first watched House Vale in silence, and looked down at the streets. People were gathering, not in panic, not in fear, in confusion and hope. The corporations were gone. Their orbital platforms lay dormant in the upper atmosphere, locked out by systems that answered only to me. Their enforcers had vanished overnight, stripped of command protocols and rendered useless, without their masters. The world hadn't ended. It had simply slipped free. At night, I dreamed of Kalen. Not as he was at the end, wounded and fading, but as he had been the first night we spoke.
Calm. Certain.
Standing in the corridor like a shadow that chose to protect instead of consume. "You are unharmed," he would say. And every time, I woke with the same ache in my chest. The city, without masters. Rebuilding Norhaven wasn't about power. The alien systems beneath the city didn't want rulers. They wanted balance. I dismantled what remained of the corporate structures, not with violence, but with exposure. Every hidden crime, every illegal experiment, every erased identity returned to the people. Truth spread faster than fear ever had. Governments tried to intervene. They failed. The prime resonance allowed me to speak to systems buried across the planet, defensive networks humanity had forgotten it ever built. The world was forced to negotiate, not conquer. And through it all, I was never alone. I felt them before I saw them. On rooftops. In alleys. Standing where the light didn't quite reach. Vampires. Not many at first. Survivors from broken houses, drawn by whispers through ancient channels. They came cautiously, watching me the way predators watch fire. I didn't command them. I welcomed them. A new oath. They gathered one night beneath the city, in the same cathedral where House Vale had fallen. Candles burned beside holograms. Stone met light. Old met new. A woman stepped forward, her eyes silver, her presence heavy with age. House Vale kept the first oath, she said. They guarded without ownership, protected without control. She knelt. Others followed. We ask, she continued, not for forgiveness, but for purpose. I thought of Kalen's final smile. You already have won, I said. Guard humanity, even from itself. But this time, by choice. That night, the vampires rewrote their laws. No feeding without cause. No rule through fear. No hidden kings. They would be watchers. Shields in the dark. Neighbors who never slept.
Day and night.
Years later, Norhaven is different. Children play in streets that once needed armed patrols. Towers glow with clean energy. The sky is clearer than it's been in generations. People still tell stories, of course. They whisper about pale figures who stop crimes before they begin. About intruders who vanish without a trace. About shadows that move when danger approaches. Some call them monsters. Some call them angels. I call them my neighbors. I still live in block C17. Same apartment. Same balcony. Every morning, sunlight spills across the city, and I know they retreat into the places light cannot reach. Every night, when darkness returns, I feel them rise, watching, guarding. And sometimes, when the city is quiet and the neon hums just right, I swear I see Kalen standing across the corridor, smiling faintly, satisfied. My neighbors are vampires. They always were.